guys, welcome back to our channel. I'm Heather.
And I am Joe. And today we're going to talk about prepping for taxes and some things to bring if you go to an accountant or to have on hand if you're doing them at home yourself. So let's get to it.
So some of the obvious things that most people already know that they're supposed to bring to their tax appointment or use to do their taxes are W-2s and 1099s from employers, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, anywhere you really get income. Also, some basic deductions that most people know about are interest on a house. If you're married, you get a deduction for that. If you have a baby, you technically get a deduction for that. So those are just some basic things. We're going to try to get into some things that you may or may not know. It's not super sophisticated, but it's some stuff just to remember. Maybe write down on a list like we do and make sure you have everything when you go in to do your taxes or do them at home. We wanted to mention right off the bat, something you will need or may need is proof of health insurance nowadays. Depending who's president, there may or may not be penalties associated with not having health insurance. But it's just something to remember if you get it from your employer or they mail it separately from your W-2s. It's just something to remember to bring. Some deductions you may want to keep in your head or keep on a list and make sure you have them if you contributed to any of them would be student loan interest. That's something you can deduct technically off your taxes. Any contributions to HSAs, traditional IRAs, 529s, all those are tax deductible. So it's just something to keep in mind. If you put any money into any of those, make sure you write those off on your taxes when that time comes. Other things would be donations to churches or nonprofits that you're able to write off. Some childcare costs or daycare costs can also be written off in your taxes. So just make sure you keep track of those. Typically, it's got to be a daycare with a tax ID number. Most daycares have that if they're like state approved or whatever. So just make sure you have all this with you when you go in or do it yourself. Because it could be a lot of write-offs if you put a lot of money into these areas. So some other things to consider bringing when you go do your taxes or do them yourself, it would be personal portfolios. If you gained anything or lost anything, you could write off the losses. You have to claim the gains. Same thing with crypto. Also, if you have any side hustles or anything else that you make money from, you'll need to bring that as well. Typically, that's part of your 1099s. But for example, I am an Uber Eats driver, part-time sometimes. So I have to bring that with me when I do my taxes because it's additional income that, is not on my typical full-time job W-2.
One thing we really thought of when we were preparing for our taxes this year is that we have a lot of paperwork that we're going to need to bring this time around. So we basically wrote down a list of all of our accounts that we're going to need paperwork for, all the paperwork that we're going to need to remember to bring. We wrote down a list. We put all of that paperwork in a folder, and that way we've got everything we need when we go to do our taxes. We just take the folder with us and go. Something that we might do in the future if we open up new accounts is to just add to that list. So something that you can do as you're opening these accounts, you can just have a folder that says taxes and have your list in there of all the open accounts that you have. And that way you never forget what you have open. You've always got it written down as you open these accounts.
Yeah, and I would definitely write that down on a list. And even things that maybe not necessarily accounts, but things you need to bring when you go.
And another thing to keep in mind is that if you're unsure about what you need to bring to your tax appointment, or like you have a student loan and you don't know what paperwork you need to bring or an open account or something like that, you can always call an accountant and ask them, and they'll let you know exactly what you need to bring, what paperwork you need to find, and that way you're walking into your appointment or you're doing your taxes and you know what you need and you have everything you need.
We are not tax experts by any means, so make sure you don't do your own research. Talk to your accountants. They'll help you figure out what you need to bring.
That pretty much sums it up for this video. We hope you enjoyed. If you did, please hit the like button and subscribe and hit that notification bell if you want to be notified of when we post next. And we'll see you guys in the next video.
Goodbye.